Hello, beautiful muses. Welcome to Cosmo Muse Tarot and this week's reading, which I'm excited to do. I'm going to keep it a little bit short. I'm a little short on time today, so we'll get something really rich, but also kind of succinct and to the point. And this reading I'm excited about because it is themed around something I generally just have a lot of energy around and a lot of love of understanding and you know, channeling messages around and learning about and everything, which is the feminine. We are currently, you can come to this reading is good for whenever, it's timeless. So whenever you come here, you're meant to come here. But the moment in astrology for when I'm doing this is what is inspiring the theme of this reading, which right now I am under the Scorpio full moon of Taurus season. And Taurus season has a lot of connection to the feminine in its light aspects, that aspect of us that will accommodate and wants to share and wants to make space for others and wants to care about things. Scorpio, where the full moon is the opposite sign, and it's the dark feminine. There's multiple things that can represent light or dark feminine, and any sign could represent either, but just very stereotypically, Taurus, in my association, tends to hold a little bit more of that light feminine, and Scorpio definitely holds a lot of that dark feminine, and that is has a lot to do with us drawing boundaries when we have no more to give and we need to say no. We need to find ways to recharge, get back to ourselves. In Scorpio, it can be cutting cords. It can be doing some psychological digging and investigation to see where we've been repressed and held back unconsciously. Also, there's another element currently in the stars right now when I'm doing this, emphasizing that dark feminine in Scorpio and the full moon being there, which is a very feminine time, is Black Moon Lilith, which is a point in our charts. It's not an actual object in astrology, where the moon's ecliptic is at its farthest point from Earth. And it's where things get exiled around the feminine, where we want to stand up for ourselves and say no, and others may not appreciate it. And it's like they want to exile us, we want to flee anyway. It's where we have that space in exile to take time to rediscover ourselves, to recharge, experiment, recharge our creativity, try things, just like really getting back to ourselves. So there is this interplay going on right now around the dark feminine and the light feminine, and how if we get stuck in either one of them, we can get pathological. And I think of that movie Inside Out, where like you can have pathological in terms of like always holding a positive emotion. I think it was the character Joy, and she was really scared to let like sadness in. Like, well, what's going to happen to my life if I let sadness in? And if you don't know that movie, I think it's a Pixar. I'm not positive on that. It's like an animated film where you're like inside the mind, I think it's of an adolescent. It's actually been quite a while since I've seen the movie. It just popped into mind right now. I think we're in the mind of an adolescent, and all of the different emotions have like a persona in that mind. And it's like Joy is taking over. Like she's just like pathologically in charge. And she comes to learn that like you need to let all of the voices, all of the emotions be there, because they're all valid and they're all just information, and they're all helping us to become more whole and more aligned and more just beautifully developed. And so with this full moon really highlighting oppositions and how things that seem opposite are exactly what we need support from, and how if we don't allow that opposite, things can get pathological. So full moons represent that, but then the signs that are being highlighted, that Taurus, Scorpio, and then entering Black Moon Lilith, and Venus, which rules the season of Taurus, is in Aries right now and is about to come out of shadow after before retrograde and after retrograde. It'll be in shadow, like going into the degrees that it will reverse over during retrograde and then going over the degrees it had reversed over. So when I'm doing this, we're a few days away from Venus coming out of shadow. So there's that also interplay of like on the cusp of being in dark to light, and in Aries, this fierceness of like really being bold about this. So just, there's so much there. Don't feel like you have to organize all of that I talked about, but just channeling, there's this deep feminine energy that I just want to explore, both in the light and the dark and how everything's working. And we're just going to let the cards bring out what's meant to come out, and we'll see if it's more light or more dark and what each is saying, and just, kind of see what's there in the feminine that wants to speak to you and tell you beautiful things. The feminine is about beauty and pleasure and all that stuff. So let's dive into this. We've got 3 piles. I'm using the Season of the Witch Beltane deck, which when I'm doing this reading, that is one of the Celtic season that we are in, is Beltane. So the 3 piles. Pile 1, we have embodiment. Pile 2, we have vision. Pile 3, we have love spell. So take your time, pause here, and tune into which one or which ones are speaking to you and drawing you in. You may have multiple messages from, the holistic sense of the feminine coming through for you. And when you are ready, timestamps will be in the descriptions. If you are interested in this topic, I did just put out a Substack that goes more deeply into this, so go check that out. There's a link to my Substack in the descriptions, and also on my website, cosmomuse.com. There's also a link in the descriptions. If you're interested in astrology, every Monday I put out like what's coming up in the week ahead, and this week I've named it, if you see this in the week I put it out, it's the week of the feminine voice. And there's, just like a few big transits coming through around that, and besides that as well. And then also, if you want even more and you really do like astrology, I do have like a membership type thing you can pay for. It's a very affordable, under $5, and you get like, by sign insights and horoscopes and a look at the whole quarter and a look at the whole year, kind of taking it from the broad view into the specific. And there's lots of lunar stuff as well, like a lunar workbook. So go check out all of that good stuff, especially if this is a topic you're into, because I do put a lot of emphasis on that kind of stuff, and the moon and the feminine and soulfulness and all that goodness. So I will see you in your piles and possibly over on my website or Substack as well. All right, see you guys. Hello, pile 1. If this is you guys, you picked the embodiment card from the Season of the Witch Beltane deck. So I'm actually going to read just straight from the guidebook for this to bring this is kind of channeled for the season I'm doing this. It's Taurus season. It's sort of that accommodating, beautiful, light, feminine energy. So the key word for this is calm. Now unsown from the flesh, a most alluring lullaby stills my pains as the skies bleed for my heart and the embodiment I am to claim. Being authentic means you get to shape yourself in the image of your choosing and is about having ambitions and goals. If you want to lose weight, that is your right. And if you relish being large and in charge, that is also perfectly fine. It doesn't matter whether you love designer clothes and nights on the town or country life is more your speed. All that matters is that how you are and what you do makes you happy and is something you have chosen for yourself. Embodiment invites you to explore the most ideal version of yourself. Be honest about what makes you happy. Think about what you might look like and about how you might carry yourself and speak. Think about the things you'd do and the people you'd spend your time with and the most ideal place for you to live and the kind of job that inspires and motivates you. Embody that image. Become that person. Choose this for yourself. Ultimately, pulling this card is a sign there are some things you'd like to change about your life, and that is confirmation that you should absolutely go for it. Don't be afraid to envision yourself in a different place from where you are where you are now, and don't apologize for wanting more. Your dreams are yours to claim. Beautiful. So that definitely for sure taps into the themes of that Taurus energy and the light feminine, where it is about creation and actively kind of forming life and molding life to your pleasures and tapping into that. I felt a lot of that kind of vision boarding here. That might be something you want to tap into, even if it's like on Pinterest, so it's not like such like a arts and crafts type project. Maybe you just make like a picture board, or you might go all out and like literally like cut out some magazine things and paste them on a poster board and hang it somewhere in your house or in your room, or somewhere that you can see it every day that's visible. Like, to whatever degree you're really feeling resonant with that message is like how much I would put into like creating some kind of vision board that you have for fun on your phone or in a Pinterest app, or like really present and physically somewhere that you see all the time, but there is something about visioning and imagining and claiming what you want and really actively voicing, like I feel like with the feminine we're able to draw things to us, and that's where like vision boards can help us to manifest. It's like, how can I feel the vibe of what I want? I need to explore it first. I need to kind of piece it together, and then I can like really drop in and feel that, and then that draws things to you, that feeling like you're already in it. Beautiful. Okay, we're also going to do a card from the Rooted Woman deck, which kind of taps into elements of the heroine's journey. So I thought this would be a perfect deck as we are tapping into the feminine. To see something about like in the lens of like the feminine journeys we go on, something you need to know about the path you're currently on, or Peregrina. I don't know if you can hear that background. It's super windy where I live, and I forgot I have a window open, so hopefully that isn't too distracting. This is I think the very first, it's the first card in one of the sections. Okay, let me figure this out. It's divided into several sections. Let's see. It's a focus card, so that should be at the very end. This card represents the Peregrina, the pilgrim, the heroine at the beginning of her journey. That makes so much sense. Like, that is the perfect time when you would make something like a vision board, is at the start of a new intention. So this is like amplifying that, like there's new energy around you. It's the perfect time to seed new things, to imagine new things, to envision new things. Okay, so more from the book. She's looking for something, though she doesn't yet know what it is. And that's like what we tapped into before. The reason of doing a vision board is like you're kind of still piecing something together, maybe about something new you're feeling in terms of how you want to feel embodied, how you want to feel in your life, look in your life, that kind of stuff. Like the Fool in the tarot, she represents innocence. She's open, curious, and ready to embrace life, and yet she's cloaked and clothed for heavy weather, for a journey which may turn out to be arduous in the end. I'm not going to read the whole of that book. I don't want to do too much reading. I just wanted to get the idea of what that card was about. So it definitely has sort of like that the Fool card, if you're more familiar with tarot than a heroine's journey. The Fool card energy, it's the start of something. There's a new spark. But it's like you need to spend a little bit more time envisioning what it is you're wanting to say yes to and leap towards. It's like you're almost the Fool. You don't quite have that spark that you want to leap to yet. You can feel that. You can feel that you're ready to do that, but you don't have the thing you're leaping at or toward yet. And it's like, take some time to feel into, to let your senses help you explore and piece things together and, that kind of stuff, like really mold together a vision board. Okay, let's take a look at the wild unknown archetypes to see if there's like an archetype or what an archetype is wanting to talk to you about, like what archetype is coming forward here, which could bring some, like with an archetype coming forward, that might help bring something into focus. The Sustainer, which literally this person is molding a piece of clay. So it's sort of like, I think this is an archetype ready to come out in you, which makes sense for maybe something, if you come here right when this comes out, like in Taurus season, that would be an archetype of Taurus season. Someone that's willing to invest time and energy and care and intention into things to slowly mold a life that's beautiful and valuable and precious to you. So this is something you care about, so like whatever seed and visions you come up with right now and then finally have that yes and leap towards is something that archetype in you of the Sustainer will be willing to really stick with and care about and be in the long haul for this. Like they're willing, this isn't something that's sort of, here 1 month or here 1 year and gone the next. Like this is something that's like, no, like this Sustainer archetype in me is really stepping up to say, like, I really want something to dig my hands into and really care about for the long haul. Like I'm in this for good kind of energy. Okay, and then let's get a message from the animal realm in relation to all of this. What do the animals want to communicate to you right now? And just one thing of why I picked the animal deck is in Celtic cosmology, there are 3 worlds: the upper world, the middle world, and the lower world. And the lower world is like a version of Earth, but it's more dense, more natural, and it's where plant and animal spirits live. And they can really give us messages that come from that deeper soul place as well as from like nervous system. So they're very earthy kind of messages, very feminine. That lower world to me is very feminine, earthy, watery kind of messages. So Which animal wants to give you a message? Oh, one flipped over in the deck. Peacock. Share your true colors. I love it. So whatever you do kind of put together as a vision board, or a vision that just comes to you of like what you want to put yourself into and take yourself on a journey around and bring out that sustainer archetype, it has a lot to do with becoming more you, showing your true colors, embracing your true colors, bringing out the wild, wacky things that maybe you've been scared to share before. This is where like the dark feminine comes in with that peacock, is like, I'm done behaving in accordance with other people's expectations and in what I was taught was good and true and this and that. Like, my true self is ready to speak up and claim who I am, despite the customs I grew up with and the traditions I grew up with and the expectations I grew up with. Like, I'm ready to bring out that dark feminine and just say, no, my turn, my time. This is what's right for me, with me. Yeah, like, you do you. I don't care what you have to say. That kind of energy. So I definitely, I was wondering if the dark feminine was going to come up in this, because it felt just very new and fresh and naive, and the young maiden feminine, which is more of the light one. But there's something deep inside of you that's actually the root, the spark of this whole reading is from the dark feminine. Like, it's time for me to be me. It's time for me to discover who I am without the overlays of life on me. Love it. Okay, for a last card, like I said, I just wanted to do a quick reading, so I was short on time today. We are going to get a Healing Waters Oracle, so tapping into that kind of healing waters of the feminine. What message wants to come forward for you? Immerse yourself. Love it. Training, learning, new hobbies, passions. I mean, that's perfect. And it's just like, that's just such a confirmation coming through from that more like emotional and watery, creative feminine, that it's like, yeah, it's time to just totally re-explore who I want to be in life, and find what lights me up, and find my passions, and immerse myself in it. Beautiful. So that is your message today. I hope that resonated. If so, it's always great to get, a little thumbs up, like, share, subscribe type stuff. It helps other people find this reading if you think they would like it. And yeah, so enjoy this, like something really fresh and beautiful in your feminine energy coming through, and remaking of yourself, what you find beautiful, what you find value in who you want to be, and your voice in the world, your true colors. So good luck with that. I'm very, very excited for you guys. What a cool thing to see come up. All right, I will see you guys in other readings. Hello, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading, where we're exploring what your feminine wants to say to you in its light form, in its dark form, whatever wants to step out. We are starting with a Beltane card, which really, to me, speaks in a Taurus voice, which is, in my perspective, tends to hold the light feminine. And you guys got the Vision card. So I'm going to read from the book for this. It's just like about a page. So enlightenment is the key word. To find enlightenment, seek nowhere, for it lives within you. Now is the time to retreat into the inner workings of your own being. The answers you seek can be found within your inner knowings, or in the part of you that does not speak with words. I love that. Just a note I would add in psychology. I have a degree in psychology, just a major. But I really focused on developmental psychology, and I can't remember exactly which class it was, but there was a focus. We were learning about how people learn languages. It must have been in like infant or child psychology or something. When children learn to speak, they learn first from their feminine side, from the music of language, before they start learning the meaning of words and syntax and structure and that kind of stuff. They learn the musicality of it, the flow, the sounds. So I love that coming through, that it's sort of like, where like inner knowings are found in the part of you that doesn't speak with words. There's a music, like look for a musicality, a rhythm, sounds. There's some inner knowing like hidden in that musicality of things. You may even listen to music to help you get in touch with some inner knowings or to get into that deeper inner place. So, and I love that because that learning, I think I missed the point of what I was going to say in terms of feminine tie-in. You're using your right hemisphere when you're learning more of that musicality versus like a meaning of word. The meaning of word is the left hemisphere, the masculine hemisphere, and the right hemisphere, which rules over the left side of the body, is more of that rhythm and musicality of things. So definitely feeling that feminine energy in that. This is like in the liminal space. It's not quite light or dark. It's like where those are blended. That inner knowing, I think, holds both the light and dark. Okay, so to return to the book, you are being guided to feel your way through your situation rather than using logic or reason. You may not understand the feelings you have at first, but your soul knows and will continue to guide you to where you cannot see with your physical eyes. Now is not the time for action. This will come later. For now, be still, meditate, visualize, and spend time with yourself, preferably in nature. Pulling vision means it is time to start relying on your own knowledge and advice. Seek others for counsel, but strain the words of others through your intuition. Feel it and try it on to see if it truly aligns with your soul. Vision guides you to go with the flow. Much like a sudden vision, you must allow your inner being to show you where it needs to go. Dreams, daydreams, and fantasies hold significant meaning during this time. Beautiful. And this aligns so much with, especially if you're coming to this reading near when it was published, is when I look at planets in astrology, I can see them going through different journeys. Like Mars goes on the hero's journey, and Mercury goes on the trickster journey, and Venus does the heroine's journey. And Venus has very recently started a new journey, and she's still in this kind of like trying to recognize that her perfect world is a little, has some cracks in it, and she's a little naive, more so than she realized. It's like the maiden version of Venus. So this very much so aligns with that. Not necessarily the cracks in the foundation. I feel you past this. I feel you more in that fairy godmother mode of like trying to find that inspiration, that insight, that inner knowing, something that's calling to you, a new adventure, a new something, which is so similar to reading one, but I'm sure this will go in a very different, it already has like a different tone to it. There is something a little bit more of a maiden feeling here, which makes sense because I think it's the fates maybe that are up in this card. They are kind of portrayed as slightly younger women. But there's flowers and birds and bees and honey, and I think of Gemini energy when I see those kinds of symbols, where it is like experimenting and chasing what just feels beautiful to help you understand what is beautiful to you and what you do want. So there's still sort of like something you're trying to understand inside, but there's a little bit of experimenting and testing and playing in the external world, bouncing off of things in the external world. But just remember that those things don't necessarily have an answer and a direction for you, but they can give you feedback. The inner knowing is what's going to give you your direction, but there is some kind of inner knowing that's trying to come through here. I just wanted to reopen that book. There's something there is some kind of vision you're looking for. Really, like when I said listen to music to help you get into those inner knowings or into an inner place to find those inner knowings, there may be messages that you find through music. Like music may kind of take the place of a fairy godmother, that thing that's supposed to help give you access to something or inspire you. There's something about music there that might really open you up to something, bring in a new idea, bring in that vision that acts as like the fairy godmother that opens up, access to the vision, I guess you would say. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, we are going to check in with the Rooted Woman Oracle, which I love for this reading, because it's kind of based on the heroine's journey. Whether it's like different archetypes that show up within that type of journey, you as the heroine, things about the heroine, or different stages of the journey. There's like all sorts of things that this deck encompasses that relate to the heroine's journey. So I thought it would be a beautiful deck to bring through for this very feminine reading. So we've got Old Woman of Dreams, the Maker of Visions. Crazy, you had Vision for your first card and Maker of Visions, which feels like that fairy godmother. Doesn't she even look like the fairy godmother? This is totally confirming what I was feeling, that there's something speaking up through Venus to you guys and about the heroine's journey. And the stage you're in being the fairy godmother stage when you see this. Okay, let me try and find, I turned right to her. I'm not going to read, I'm going to just check a little bit from the guidebook of what this is referring to within the heroine's journey. Just trying to pull out some basic things here. So an old Scottish folktale tells of an old woman and an old man who live in a cave high up in the Culin Mountains on the Isle of Skye. The couple are the creators of the dreams of the world. The old woman of dreams has deep vision. She can see and understand everything that's happening in the world by looking into a dark pool in the cave. She uses this knowledge to create the substance out of which her husband crafts the dream of the world. The two of them together quite literally dreaming the world into being. The story tells of a young girl who loses her way in misty weather and stays with the couple for a year and a day, helping them with their work. As a consequence, the girl comes to understand the importance of apprenticeship. She emerges from the old woman's tuition with the knowledge of how to interpret dreams, a skill that she later finds valuable in her husband's country, and which she in turn passes on to the people to the benefit of all. It's not very long, I'm just gonna finish reading this. The Old Woman of Dreams card reminds us that we should always take time to appreciate ourselves, to apprentice ourselves to the knowledge of our dreams. Although many of our dreams don't make sense to us in a narrative context, speaking of like where it's like not about words, but like an intuition, an inner knowing, nevertheless, the characters who populate them that might be helpful to us along our path. Our dreams also reflect the wisdom of our inner self, the part of us that knows what's good for us even when our conscious mind does not. Yeah, so that unconscious aspect of self, that feminine intuition, dreams, there is like this liminal space you're in right now, I'm feeling. And it is like you're being guided just so deeply to pay attention to things like dreams, music, water, intuition, synchronicities, those little magical things that help you to just know something's right, you know? Help you to find the path you're looking for. So I do get the sense that there's something very unformed right now going on in your feminine in terms of what you want to value, how you want to find your voice, find pleasure in life, find love in life. There's something like very new happening and it's not quite formed yet, and it's like the cards are just telling you to stick with that liminal space, that kind of intuitive, inspiring, magical, wordless place. Like, so you will find that thing. Just keep attending to those little magical moments that come through. Keep following those like you're pulling out a thread. And literally the fates here are working with the threads of life. Keep following. That feels very, keep following the threads of magic, of inspiration, of dreams, of those things that you think might be silly or not really, that you're reading into too much. You're not. Keep following those threads of magic. Okay, we are going to see what archetype wants to show up and speak to this, which might help give some kind of clarity or hints about what's to come, or maybe one of those little magic threads or nuggets along the path. Let's see. This one wants to come out. The mentor. Yeah, totally. There is something, whether it's a literal kind of person or something that you find like in music or learning something new or studying dream symbolism. There's something you need to like learn something about. So like a mentor may show up for you. Not necessarily, like a mentor doesn't have to be a person. It can be just something you're learning from the interwebs or from a book or from your own intuition. But there is that fairy godmother mode coming through here where it's like, keep, like, whether it's like, another thing about that, whether it's a literal person or not, it's like there is a spiritual hand at play that is dropping clues, that is helping you to pick up the threads that need to be followed. If someone specific turns up and has that mentor quality, like the old man and woman or like this archetype, great. But if that's not something that shows up, know that that's like, like a spirit guide or something that is dropping hints constantly for you, to, pointing you towards where you need to learn something or understand something, that kind of stuff. And then we are also going to do an animal message. I'm bringing this in relation to the feminine because the way I view animal messages, because I have a deep connection with like Celtic cosmology, and the tree of life is what connects us to the three realms, or the three worlds: the upper world, the middle world, and the lower world. And the lower world to me is like the ultimate feminine place. It's sort of like Earth, but much denser and much more slow and much more natural. And it's where plant and animal messengers live and bring us, more of those very feminine, intuitive messages. And I also feel that it connects us with our nervous systems as well. So, an animal message for you. We've got dolphin. Open up to emotional healing. Interesting. I mean, there is all of this like mystical, magical energy. I feel that like whatever this mentor represents, whether it's the old woman of dreams or the owl, and whether that ends up being a literal person or these like spiritual messages, almost like there's someone behind the veil kind of being the mentor, I feel like they're really helping you in whatever you end up feeling kind of mentored in or opened up to. It's like clearing something. It's like rejuvenating something in you. I don't think this is what the vision is about, what's going to set you into like a new path or a new thing, a new vision in life. I think this is something that is happening right now. It's like you are doing some emotional healing right now. And in this fairy godmother mode, on this, just feeling Venus so present in your reading, there's just something that you're being given downloads or literal help with that gives you new understandings, that really clears some channels for you, that it really helps you to purge out some emotional baggage that's no longer meant for you. Have you ever learned something about your past? Maybe like you remember some story, some scenario that happened when you were young, but in that young state, you didn't have the capacity to really understand what happened. And then maybe that story comes up with a sibling or a cousin, or just in retelling the story to someone. And now as like more of an adult, as you retell it, you're like, oh, actually, the way I saw that is like really not how I should have internalized that story. And like something just immediately clears. You didn't even know you were holding something in a weird way, but like it immediately clears. I did have a personal story, but I think I'm not going to share it. It's, well, I guess I brought it up, so I should. So this for me happened very recently, and it was just like a little thing. I didn't even know I was holding this thing that much. But there was, how do I say this without getting into a whole thing? So, a girl I went to high school with, who I became close with for a little while. There was never like a breakup. You know how in high school you just kind of get close for little periods of time with someone, and then, high school's a very pollinating, you're always kind of mixing things up. So there was a girl I was very close to for a little while, and I sort of had a group of friends that came into high school from one junior high, and there was another junior high that fed into the same high school, and we kind of cliques were kind of mixing from those. So she came from the other junior high, and her father was a psychologist, and she told me that he saw something about one of our friends that was disturbing, and I didn't know how to question that. I didn't know what to do with that information, so I never repeated that to anybody. I won't go into what it was, but later in life, actually just recently, I found out that this person, this father figure, was actually kind of like abusing the way they were using psychology. And it made me remember that thing that my friend relayed to me that he said, and I was able to be like, whoa, that just can be completely dismissed. Like, I absolutely see that, like, he could never have known that. He should never have said that. There's nothing about that that could have been true. And I didn't even realize I was holding on to that or that it impacted me that much. It was something that came up in my mind every now and then, but it was like one of those weird things you don't know what to do with. And it just cleared out of me. I'm like, yep, that's dismissed. That is BS. So that's just gone. So something, like it doesn't have to be in that kind of a realm, but it can be much more simple. But when we're young or when we're in a certain immature place for something to have come up in life, and then as an adult or a young, older, more experienced person, something comes back around and you're like, whoa, that I completely misread that, or that was internalized in a way it should never have been, and it just clears. I feel like something like that is about to happen for you guys. It's like something you didn't even really know was in your emotional channels and needed to be purged. And should never, like mine, like it should never have been in something that was internalized or put on me. It's like that, where it's like nothing you did, nothing, like it's just like one of those things that comes up in life that you're just in wrong place, wrong time kind of scenario, or we won't keep going into that, but I feel something's clearing for you guys, and that's really going to open you up to connecting to your vision, some kind of vision. Okay, so to end this, we're going to get a Healing Waters Oracle, really tapping into that feminine energy of the water. I do want to bring up, because I have felt a lot of the light feminine here, that feminine that's making new room, accommodating new things, listening to, mentors or things outside of itself, but trying to also just listen to its intuition and not yet internalize those things. The dolphin to me, and open to healing emotion or emotional healing, is that dark feminine, where it's like when that thing clears, your dark feminine is the thing that will rise and be like, nope, that is out of my emotional channels. That boundary is closed. Like paradoxically, because I would tend to think of the dolphin, that very healing, playful dolphin energy feels light to me, and light feminine, but like how this is coming up, it is something coming from your dark feminine, where it's like, nope, I'm no longer holding that. That was not mine to hold, and be gone. Like door is closed on that. I am exiling this from my emotional channels. Okay, last card, Healing Waters Oracle. Just a beautiful message from the water realm. The pearl, alchemy, the reward at the end, from grit to grace. Beautiful. This is interesting because it does, I was hoping this card would help me frame the vision a little bit more in terms of what it means and what it's, is that vision a new journey? Is that vision leading you to a new path, or is it more about it's clearing something for you? And this does help to kind of clarify that it does feel like, even though we don't know what the vision is, and it's going to be very different for all of you, it does feel like a vision for a new journey. And it is indicating, even though it's not telling you what that journey is themed around or going to be about, it is saying that it will take you through transformation. It will bring a reward at the end, but you will find your grit and you will find your character going through whatever journey opens up to you as you follow the thread of dreams and mentors and spirit guides and, whatever, and music, whatever journey opens up to you, which is about to happen, because the fairy godmother is the stage right before we kind of enter into the new world. So whatever that new world is and that journey that you go on, it is going to transform you and it will bring rewards at the end. So just some confirmation that whatever this opens you up to, wherever this vision that you are about to find leads you towards or into, you are going to have to go through the fires with it, but it's going to transform you and it's going to be very rewarding at the end. So really hang in there and trying to get a sense. I don't have any sense of what the journey is, and I think it's just because it's wildly different journeys for each of you. So I guess I'm going to stop trying to grasp it, what it is. That's for your vision to reveal to you very individually. But yeah, I think the main message for you is keep going. Things, even though they're not clear and there's not words that are defining and articulating things, you're onto something. Keep following the breadcrumbs. You will find that inner knowing and that vision, which will open you up onto the path of your new journey. And the new journey will transform you and it will be rewarding at the end. Okay, I hope that brought some interesting insights around the feminine, the heroine. So the journey is the heroine's journey, just to reiterate. Maybe I didn't ever clarify that. This is a heroine's journey, which is about finding your autonomy, your voice, your sense of self-worth, your value. Yeah, so we do know a heroine's journey always revolves around that, but yeah, the theme of it, what that is in relation to, will be different to each of you and distinct based on the vision you find. All right, if this resonated, I always appreciate support, likes, shares, subscribes. It helps other people find the channel if you think this is reading, a reading other people would enjoy. So yeah, definitely do that if this resonated, and I will see you guys in other readings. Whoa, my voice just went out. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading where we're going to explore what the feminine in its light and dark, whatever comes up, wants to communicate. Pile 1 and Pile 2 were very similar. They definitely had different tones, but I'm feeling a thread. We'll see what comes up. I don't want to read too much into it yet because maybe something very different will come through for you, but I'm intrigued. Let's see where this goes. So you guys, to start this off in your Season of the Witch Beltane card, chose Love Spell. And I'm going to read from the book for this. And the key word is intention. Oh my gosh, this is very similar. Okay, let the honey of your soul swell in the depths of your love. All spells should be approached with clarity and understanding of the outcome you are seeking. Love spell guides to find a deeper understanding of your ethos and your guiding beliefs. What do you truly want out of life? What do you need to feel whole and fulfilled? What causes your heart to swell in the depths of love? Knowing what you need is the first step toward embracing it. The universe is ready and willing to fulfill your dreams, but before it can do so, it needs to know without doubt what those dreams are. Pulling Love Spell means you are ready to establish your system of beliefs and the sacred principles that will define all of your choices moving forward. If you are asking about love, then this card guides you to be clear about the type of love you are seeking. If your question is about success, this card urges you to seek clarity about what success means to you. Whatever your question is at this time, pulling this card is an invitation to gain a better understanding of yourself and your intentions. Okay, so what I will say, you may have already chosen pile 1 or 2 in addition to this, but if you haven't, there is a common thread going through all of them in that, like, each pile is beginning a new heroine's journey, which is a journey around autonomy, our voice, our self-worth, our value. Where you differ from pile 1 and pile 2 is like those 2 piles were still trying to find that intention. What is that vision? What am I seeking here? There's still something that they were kind of, and it's not, I'm being reductive here. They're much more than that. But in general, for you guys, I feel like if you came to pile 3, you have something specific around, like, I want a job that pays me better. I want a job that I feel more fulfilled in. I want love that has these specific like, there's something here where it's like, the topic that you're already concerned with. And now it's like getting clear about the specifics. And this is indicating get as specific as you can, make out that list. And like one of the piles I'd said make a vision board, but that was more in relation to like even figuring out sort of like what they were looking for. It's like, the topic, but like get really specific. Really call in. There's a system called human design. It's kind of like a sister system to astrology. And there are some designs, we all have different like body graph designs. I won't get into the whole system, but there are some people in the way that system works that says that the more specific you are, the better you manifest. And that's not true for every design that a person has, but for some people. So I feel like that might also be some of you. If you know your human design, you might be like, oh yeah, I have heard that before. Like, the more specific I am, the better I manifest. Regardless if that is in your human design or not, the cards are saying there's something about jumping into this new heroine's journey that is saying, like, get really specific about the outcome you are looking for at the start, from the start. There's something you want, and so what does that outcome look like? Get really specific around it. Okay, we are also going to pull a card from the Rooted Woman Oracle, which is such a great oracle deck for this reading because it relates to the heroine's journey overall. So it might speak to the archetype of the heroine, different stages of the journey, or different types of archetypes that tend to show up on these journeys. So we'll see, and I will be reading from the book a little bit as well for this one. Shape shifting. Okay, let's see. I'm going to need to look in the index real quick for which category this is in. The journey, okay. Okay, to shapeshift reflects an unbearable lightness of being, the antithesis to rigidity, and European myth and tradition is overflowing with shapeshifting women. Goddesses shift constantly between human and animal form. Men marry Sela women, and fairy tale heroines transform the bears who are their husbands back into men. I'm just going to read the whole of it. It's not too long. These traditions reflect an ancient worldview in which humans were seen as an intrinsic part of the natural world and were related to other than humans who inhabit it alongside us, rather than being separate from nature and possessing dominion over all the other creatures within it. And we imagine ourselves to, as we imagine ourselves to be today. These shape-shifting beings represent a rich and necessary wildness within us that modern civilization has all but wiped out. To shape-shift is to embrace transformation in all its unexpected complexities. It's also to acknowledge the fluid relationship between human and animal, and to respect and cultivate the wisdom and ways of beings of other than humans. By imagining ourselves as one with our animal relatives, we can come to see that there are other ways of imagining the world and our place in it. We can discover ways of living more intensely, more richly, and with a deeper sense of belonging to this multi-layered animate world. So I feel like this is giving a clue to the kind of heroine's journey you're about to go on, which is so interesting because it's a little bit paradoxical in terms of like getting really specific about intention, because this is saying what your perception of in terms of what you want as an outcome is right now on this journey is going to dramatically need to be flexible and pivot. And in doing so, you're going to find much richer, much more layered ways of doing things. And I almost feel like the purpose of asking you to get really detailed and specific about outcomes you're looking for in an intention and the thing you are ready to kind of newly develop in your life is because like the more set we are in a vision, the more things have a strong what's the word I'm looking for? A strong kind of axis to bounce off of. A strong I'm forgetting the word I want. Axis works fine. Like a strong pull to bounce off of, to show you opposite things. And so this journey you're about to go on, you may start out it's asking you to do this, starting out very kind of rigid and set in certain things you want and certain outcomes you want. And on this journey, you're going to, I believe, encounter a lot of polarities, circumstances that are dramatically opposite of what your intention said, people that really challenge you in that hold wildly different perspectives, things that are constantly using the strength you have to bounce off of wildly different and show you wildly different oppositions. And little by little, as you see these wildly different oppositions in circumstances, in people, in events, whatever it is, you're going to learn the magic of shape-shifting, and you're going to become very malleable and very adaptable, and you're going to become more dynamic, more multi-layered. Like you may be like some of you, I don't think everyone coming here, may be very type A, kind of rigid, anal people, which is fine. I have a little bit of that myself. Not dramatically, but there's certain things in my life I can relate to type A and then certain things not at all. So it's not a critique. It's just, that is some, a lot of people can be type A in certain aspects of life or overall as a personality. And I feel like either whether that's like your personality or certain areas of your life you're very controlled in, you're gonna really be challenged to see things in very, very different ways. And you're going to be challenged to see how things that are very different from you and very different from what you want actually might hold the kind of nourishment and beauty you need to be more balanced, to become more centered and whole and elegant in life. And by the end of the journey that you go on, and because I'm feeling Venus speaking up so profoundly in all of these readings, especially if you come when this is being put out, is because Venus is just she has just started a new heroine's journey, and she has not entered the new world yet, and it's an 18-month journey. So it'll be like by fall of 2026 that this journey ends. I feel it's very tied to this. Unless you come at a very different time, just know that like you're just starting an 18-month journey, and you may be a couple months into it though. But know that like in about a month or two, you'll be entering that new world, that this will start to come into play, where very like polar things are kind of pressing at you and frustrating you, but they're there to really change not your circumstances in life and outcomes, but who you are, and making you into a person who is more layered and multidimensional, and who manifests much more fluidly. So it's almost like there may be an outcome you're looking for, but the outcome you get is someone who manifests better and better things than you identified going into this. And all of a sudden you're manifesting all sorts of things, not this one rigid, specific, very detailed thing that you want, you know? So yeah, very interesting. Okay. I'm almost feeling like it's the same, like these readings are speaking to this same Venus cycle that's coming through, but it's speaking to different personalities, like how the different personalities, where they are right now, and like what it's going to end up bringing out, sort of thing. Okay, so let's get an archetype, and the archetype card will give us a little bit of a hint of like what might be coming out in you in this journey. Ooh, just tapping into, in the intro, I talked a lot about this might tap into both the light and dark feminine. You may be starting really like, you know, especially if you listen to the intro, I talked about the movie Inside Out and the voice of joy who like doesn't want to let sadness in. That might like be you, where you really want to stay in that white light kind of thing, and the positive and the light feminine, and not letting the dark in. And it's like the dark feminine will constantly be showing up in response to that, to help you balance and integrate and find both. Yeah, okay. I do think there's something with that. Okay, let's get an archetype card. What is showing up here? The stone. Yeah, that totally makes sense, where it's like, I think the archetype in you that's being worked on is that part of you that is a stone, that is a rock, that is very concrete. We all have a part in us that's very concrete. This isn't saying that you as a whole are. But this journey, it's seeding in Aries, and Aries can be very, like a very concrete sign, depending on where it is in relation to your nodes. But generally, and we all have Aries in our chart, so wherever that Aries is can be a little bit more concrete, and that's where this heroine's journey is seeding. It's, you know, if you're watching this when this comes out, and it is a rock, it is like a very strong kind of energy, But that archetype, I think you're finding a way to not be as stubborn, maybe, to be more, that flexibility, that shape-shifting coming in is helping that part of you that's concrete become more elegant, become more holistic and nuanced and layered and textured. So I see your developmental maturity really elevating here in this journey. Like you're really, in terms of your maturity and the development of your maturity, you're really in this journey gonna like find ways to see life and expectations in much more nuanced, layered, textured, adaptable, flexible ways, in much more mature ways. Interesting. Okay, we are also going to pull an animal card, and I chose this deck to represent the lower world in the Celtic cosmology. So in the Celtic cosmology, there's the upper world, which is kind of angelic, spirit guides, that kind of stuff, and then the middle world, which is where we live, and ancestors and the dead. And then the lower world, which is very dense. It's like Earth, but it's more dense, more slow, very feminine, and it's where plant and animal spirits live. And so I feel like we channel very feminine messages from that realm. And also, my own association is I really think it helps us get messages from our nervous system. But let's see what what animal message wants to come out for you. Eagle, trust your highest vision. And that is really cool. It's bringing me right back to that intention and being very specific and having an outcome that you want. And by the end of this, it's like you're going to get a result and an outcome that has the essence of what your intention was, that has the essence of the highest vision there, but it probably will look wildly different because you're coming into this much more layered, nuanced aspect of yourself. And so there is that importance here of like, yes, get specific at the start, fully embrace that type A aspect of like, the detail, and this is the outcome I want, and these are all the little minute things that have to be there. But then ask, what is the highest vision though? And know that by the end, that highest vision, not the details, but the highest vision, the essence of that is still going to be there, but the details may not. The details are going to end up being better, but you're going to feel challenged by that throughout the journey, because it's going to take, there's going to be some learning curves on this journey about being stubborn and a rock and concrete about certain aspects of life. And I'm definitely not saying that's how you are as a whole. It's just like there's some aspect of life this journey is like, pushing out in you. The highest vision remains, the details change. The highest vision isn't like that type A thing. It's not, if you're, looking for love and you're calling in the right partner and you say they like to wear baseball caps and go to baseball games and be sporty and drive a truck and, like all these little things, like, that person you envisioned may not be what you end up with. They may be radically different, but the essence of them is that they're like all American, casual, apple pie kind of guy or something like that. Where it's like they're relaxed, they're casual, like those things, the highest vision, and they totally embrace that in me or bring that out in me, or like it's more along those terms. So You may end up with like a person who isn't necessarily sporty, or where, you know, they may wear designer tailored suits and be a corporate person, but under the essence of them, they have this kicked back, laid back thing when they're not in their boardroom or, you know, at the executive suite. Like in their normal life, they like to have a good time and you know, like those things where it's like the base, that highest vision of like what that was providing for me is still there. It just isn't in the package, I thought. So you get the idea there. The highest vision is still there. So yes, make intention with those details, with specificity. But then ask, under all of that, what is the highest vision though? What is this, you know, and tapping into the feminine, what does the outcome, what do I want the outcome to make me feel like rather than look like? So get specific about what it looks like and all those little intricate details, and then at the end, what do I want this to make me feel like? And I think that is the thing that will remain. And the things you put in place are the things that are going to help you to grow, because there's something very strong to bounce off of and create polarities with. Okay, to end, we are going to get a beautiful message from the Healing Waters deck, obviously a feminine thing. The water carrier, what really matters, reflect, reprioritize. Yeah. So you're going to learn a lot about that on this journey. What really matters is the highest vision of how something makes you feel. So go ahead and start it out with some of those really specific details of how things should look. But always know that the highest vision is how it makes you feel, and that's what really matters. And there's something about that you're really going to learn on this journey. That what really matters is a little different than how you're holding certain aspect of life right now. Not the whole of your life, there's a certain aspect of your life here. Beautiful. I love this though, because like the result here is like, even though I do foresee like some polarity challenges coming in on this journey, the outcome of it is like knowing on such a more deeply feminine quality, being more sure and aware and honoring of and embracing of what really matters, and becoming a more mature person, and a more nuanced person, and a more dynamic person in the area of life that this journey relates to. Okay, so that is where I'm going to leave you guys. If this resonated, if you enjoyed this, I always appreciate likes, shares, subscribes. It helps other people find the channel, especially if you think other people would enjoy this. So definitely do something there if it calls out to you. And good luck with this journey on really, really becoming more dynamic in some aspect of you. And yeah, so beautiful. See you in another reading.